Well, as always, I hope you're managing to keep well and keep safe in these strange times that we're all going through. I thought I'd show you the neck blank that I've been working on for the chambered body electric mandolin. It's made primarily from sapele. I think sapele is a vastly underrated tone wood, and it really makes good stable necks. One thing that I always like to do with my necks, and I've always done this, is laminate them. And what I've got here is a central core of maple, and I've got some green and sapele veneers either side of that, really as the decorative theme that's going to be running through this instrument. And if I hold that close, I don't know if you can see the green veneer, but of course once the whole thing's been shaped, the next I've got some finish on, it will really pop that colour. So yeah, so here's me laminating it and getting myself into a bit of a mess. So if the lamination's dry, the neck blank itself is cleaned up, and then I concentrate on the head neck joint. I always do this spliced joint. Clamping it together can be a bit tricky and a bit complicated. So if you're going to do a spliced joint like this, I've just put this little bit of video together to show you how I position the clamps to stop everything sliding about. So I'm just having a bit of a dry run again before I glue the head onto the neck. So I always do this spliced neck joint. So if I take it apart, you'll see what I've got. These G-clamps, these 4 small G-clamps, are the ones which will apply the pressure to the glue joint. This spring clip is merely holding in place 2 pieces of scrap wood, which I'm going to take off so that I don't damage the neck with the G-clamps. And this spring clamp is just holding on this offcut of the neck, and what that enables me to do is to apply some pressure behind the head here, where the neck will have its volute carved. The head is held in the vise at 90 degrees, so the head can't go anywhere because the clamps apply the pressure at an angle to the actual glue joint. There's this tendency for the joint to shear apart as you apply pressure. So the head is held in place by the vise, and this clamp holds that in place, the neck part in place, and of course that big block stops that from sliding anywhere. So once to say you're applying pressure, the neck itself can't move. So yeah, that's how I put together a spliced joint. So I'll glue that up in a second. So once the head's been joined to the neck, I then route 2 slots. I don't know if you can see them, but I route 2 slots along the neck, starting from just under the head overlay, and that will go just into the neck joint. Route these 2 slots and epoxy in a couple of strips of carbon fibre, and then some strips of sapele are on top of the carbon fibre, so that you've got the gluing surface for the fretboard. So with a nice piece of dry wood, with it laminated, and with 2 pieces of carbon fibre running down the length of it, I think we can safely say what we've got here is one stable neck. So the next step then is to put on the head overlay. So I'm using this piece of koa. It's not book match. It just happens that this grain was naturally occurring, and I thought I'd exploit that by putting it down the centre of the head. And before I glue the head overlay on, I always inlay my little trademark N there. Good grief, it's green, I hear you say. Yeah, okay. Well, it's one of these reconstituted rock inlay materials, and I thought I'll be a bit bolder on this instrument than I normally am. Yeah, so that's the head overlay. So the next step is to cut out the head, which is quite straightforward, but then I carve the volute here. That's a little bit tricky, because obviously what you don't want to do is damage the back of the head, this back surface here. I like doing a volute. I think aesthetically what it does is it gives you this nice kind of transition from the curved surface of the back of the neck to the flat surface of the head. So there's that to it, but also from a practical point of view, it does also add some strength up in this area here. So yeah, so that's the volute. And then of course we drill the holes for the tuners, and on one of the Archtop playlists I think there's a whole video dedicated to drilling holes, and those holes have to be drilled as accurately as you possibly can. And if you look at the tuners, this is what you want them to be able to just drop down like that. If they don't drop down like that, if they're binding for some reason, well, clearly they're then going to bind once it's strung up. The tuners that I'm using are Gota MA40s. I do like these Gotas. I'm using these Ivoroid buttons, and that will tie in nicely with the maple bindings that are going to be on this instrument. It is a bit outrageous, so I must admit, how much extra they charge you for these Ivoroid as opposed to Pearloid, but there you go, that's life, isn't it? Yeah, so that's the tuners, and really that's as much as I will do to the neck blank at this stage. This whole area here I leave completely square until I cut the neck joint. Leaving it square makes it easier for the marking out process and the sawing process. I don't shape the neck at all until the fretboard has been glued on. So first of all, you've got this nice flat surface for the clamps to get some purchase on, and then it's fretted. And again, when you're fretting it, because the back of this is flat, you tend to lessen the chance of rebound with the frets. and then once it's been fretted, that's when I carve it. And I think what I like about doing it that way is that you can get hold of the neck and actually get a feel for what the instrument's going to be like for the player. Yeah, so all of that carving will come later on. So that's as much as I'm going to do to the neck blank. That's going to go on the shelf and wait until I get the body done. So until the next time, take care, keep safe, and see you then. Cheers, thanks for taking the time.